Hello, everyone, and welcome back to NextDev. My name is Ryan Vogel, and I am joined by my co-host here.
Dan Goosewit.
Today, we are joined by Max from Lingo.dev. Max, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
So, we're just going to jump right into this. We're going to go all the way back to the early days of your career. How'd you get started in this sort of software engineering development sort of world with technology and entrepreneurship? How'd you get started in that? What are your roots?
Well, yeah, great question. So, I guess I started coding at the age of 9, like a long time ago. I'm 29 now, so it was like 20 years ago. It's wild. Um, yeah, back then we didn't even have a computer at home. It was mostly like uh, paper, pencil, and C++ for dummies, book. And that was mostly it. And then somehow, yeah, I just kept coding. So,
What was your first read on programming?
oh yeah, it was this like C++ for dummies book. The way I learned coding was actually that um, I I basically copy like I was typing into the computer once we get one at home. Once we got one at home, like typing in the program, like without even understanding what it does, trying to just make it compile. And then after I managed to do that, I was like changing something to see what would change, in the app. So that's how I started with coding. And yeah, C++ for dummies was the first read. Yeah, it's very probably unusual for folks nowadays to to hear that somebody got started with programming with C++, mostly JavaScript, I guess, or like Python or TypeScript or like just straight React. But yeah, back in the days, it was
I
much more hardcore.
personally my first programming language was on a Vista computer, on a Windows Vista computer using QBasic. So
Ooh.
I have a respect for the C family in the early days, because it kind of gave me that sort of low level look. Well, I don't know if QBasic was low level. I can hardly remember anything from that age, but yeah, I definitely get not doing like jumping into Python and stuff like that, because gives you a level of respect for it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I know you have quite a bit of history in the DevTools space. I'm quite curious how you arrived at that, because it's not a very usual place of application for software development. People usually end up with jobs in all kinds of commerce and whatnot. How'd you get into
Mhm.
DevTools?
Well, with Lingo.dev, it's kind of coincidence, I would say, that we were working on Notion Lytics before that. It was a product we've built with Veronica, my co-founder, the same co-founder. And then it got acquired, and we were like, what should we build next? And we went to a hackathon, and we just didn't know what to build. And we interviewed like people who were at the hackathon, and those were surprisingly, right, were mostly developers. And yeah, that's why DevTool. That's pretty much it. So scientifically speaking, it's through customer interviews. And then at some point we just realized that localization was always the topic we hated ourselves. Like managing like files and like translations, and it's always like super boring. So yeah, we ended up building a dev tool. So yeah, back in the days, it was just a ChatGPT wrapper. But yeah, quite a
That's
few things
cool.
changed then.
That's cool. So you think it was mostly just like the culmination of the users asking for something to be created, and then you're like, hey, I can make a product for that type of solution, basically.
Oh, yeah, but actually, you know what? It wasn't always the plan to like to build a like product, right? I remember. I mean, like we've been watching with my co-founder. We've been watching YC YouTube channel for I don't know, like past I don't know 10 years, like 7 years, something like that. And I remember Dalton was. Um, like talking about pivoting and that kind of stuff, and he mentioned that a good product, good idea, like good pivot feels like coming home. So something like that. And that's exactly what happened with Lingo.dev and the dev tools. So we were like, well, what could we be working on, irrespective of the fact whether it's a product or not, whether we could make money with it or not? And it was that. So yeah, we just built the tool. We won the hackathon. We were like very surprised. We just hacked around, and built something useful. So we were very excited about that. And then we just kept working on Lingo.dev, and then we got first users. And then we got into YC, and then
That's
the rest is
awesome.
history.
That's so cool. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Lucid is open source, right? Or sorry, not Lucid, Lingo. My bad. Lingo is open source, right?
Yeah, it's an open source CLI to manage translation files, localization files on autopilot. It can be used both with OpenAI and Tropic, API key, since recently, and also there is a cloud API that we provide that has a free plan, so it has paid plan as well.
That's cool. So have you always been into open source, or was it just kind of like a one-off thing? How'd you get started in like the open source type atmosphere?
It's just fun. It just feels fun. It's like you have you build something. It's a variation of build in public in some sense. It's like you're building something, you're putting it out there, and other people might like it, might use it, might not like it, and suggest some improvements. And most of the time, I think we are super lucky with that, because like 99% of the times, the improvements that users suggest, they are already in our roadmap. We just aren't sure how important those things are. So and also before that, before Lingo.dev, I worked at Typeform as engineering manager, and we were developing the Typeform open source SDK in my team. And so I've been
So you've always been like connected with the community on like that level. That's super cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. I am quite curious, why decide to build an open source? What led to this decision?
Why not? Why building something closed source? I mean, we have a closed source API right now. We might open source it in the future. It's just, I don't know. It's like I'm a little bit unconfident about the quality of the code we have there, if being honest. So so we could have open sourced that part as well. But I think it's just doesn't matter that much anymore to keep your code closed source, especially with vibe coding tools. Everything can be copied, like overnight. I was told when we just got into YC with our CLI, I was told that every basically week somebody would try to copy your product just because. I didn't see that happen just yet, but I'm pretty sure it happens quite often. So it's like, I mean, why would you want to keep it closed source if you can just, receive 1 or 2 or like 100 pull requests for new features from contributors, and it just benefits everyone. So it's pretty cool.
That makes perfect sense. I know that previously you have founded other companies, and in particular Notionlytics, I think it's another kind of product that was born out of just random hacking. It was a weekend project of yours, is that right?
We were. It was it was crazy. It was middle of COVID, and we we were bored, and we decided to have this small internal weekend hackathon kind of. And back then, I don't remember the year, but I think it's like 2021, something like that. And building websites from your personal websites from your Notion pages was a huge trend back then, and there were a bunch of tools. I think SuperSo and Simple Ink and like a bunch of other tools that would let you create a site on a custom domain out of your Notion page. And we realized that every website has analytics, but this particular type of websites, they do not have analytics. So we just shipped basically like it wasn't even an app, it wasn't a product by far. It was just a Next.js web page that did some like I don't remember specific like exactly, but did some magic on the back end, and it somehow showed analytics to the user. And then we just built it, we launched it, published I think on Reddit or something like that, and just forgot about it. And then 3-4 months, no, but we actually added Google Analytics to the website. And then 3 months later, we decided to check the statistics, and it was growing. We were like, wow, what's going on? So we then added sign up. People started signing up. And then we added a bunch of charts to the app. People, users were using actually those charts. And then we were like, well, let's go talk to the users. We found out what is being used most, and then we added some monetization, and then somehow it became a product eventually. So yeah, it was super random. Yeah.
That's so. Let me ask a follow-up, because I was actually talking to someone today about this. How helpful was Reddit when you were launching the product? Because I mean, Reddit, either you're praised into the heavens, or you're just like completely criticized all the way down. Why did you make this AI ChatGPT wrapper again? And what was your experience with that? Because everyone seems to have a different experience with it. How did it go?
Yeah, so I have like mixed feelings about Reddit, because it 100% does work if you happen to to create a good post, good promotional post, or somebody decides to post about you on Reddit. I think it works quite well, but it's like extremely hard to engineer this. We didn't do any intentional Reddit marketing. We tried a couple of times, but it just doesn't work. It's like, as you said, it's just impossible. So I'm not an expert in that, unfortunately, but I do know that sometimes there were like comments or posts about Notion Analytics back then, and that traffic worked quite well. I would say if you can make Reddit work, then absolutely go for it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I know you got backed, rather Lingo.dev got backed by Y Combinator, and that's like a dream come true for so many founders out there. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience? How did you get in, and what lessons did you extract out of it?
Great question. So we got from the second try, The first time we applied, so our batch was F24, the first ever fall batch, and we applied first to S24, summer 24, and in hindsight, actually the application was terrible, because we didn't record the demo. And the reason was that, well, who wants to see like a CLI? Like, it's just black terminal, right? But we were like, well, YC at the end of the day, it's like a VC firm. Maybe they don't want to see like a terminal windows, like it's boring, or like code. Like, who wants to see like, a bunch of letters on the screen? So we were so wrong. So it was so wrong. But and the application, to be honest, it was pretty long. So it was, I think the second time we applied, it was 3 times shorter in terms of like amount of text that was there in the application. So we got from the second try.
Yeah, I can definitely say from personal experience, because I filled out the YC application just because I was like, I wonder what it's like. I didn't submit anything, but definitely after like 30 minutes of grinding out like the standard questions, and then they're asking the deeper stuff, you're like, man, can't I just like chat GPT this? But then that's when you got to be like, all right, I got to hunker down. And I think that's what those sort of questions because I knew that I was like, whoo, this is a lot, and it's kind of making me rethink my business a little bit. But
Yeah,
it's a lot
exactly.
of words. It's a lot of words.
Exactly. And we were given feedback. So the lessons that we learned the first time is that demo is absolutely a must. Yeah, the demo of the value, that the tool, the product, the open source free CLI tool, like whatever, it must be like super obvious, because now I do understand that. Back then it wasn't very obvious. And it's very important to keep it concise. So the second time we were applying, we approached it thinking that, well, people who are reviewing applications, they probably don't have much time, because they have like tens of thousands of applications, right? So let's make the job easier for them by like not having a lot of text. So we first wrote down what we actually thought we want to say, and then we just removed as much stuff as possible without trying to do that without losing the meaning. So yeah, and of course it's besides of us trying to make as much progress on the product as possible between the two applications. So yeah, I think that helped a lot.
Right. And so you've obviously had a lot of experience with working with co-founders and stuff like that. What do you think, in your opinion, makes for a good co-founder quality? What do you think make, like, when you're looking, like, let's say you stopped Lingo today and you're embarking on a new thing, what would you look for in qualities and aspects for a co-founder?
It's a tough question. So I think the skill set should be complementary. In our case, it has always been true with Notion Analytics. Well, Veronica has a data science and AI machine learning background, and I have software engineering background. And with Notion Analytics, I mean, it's obvious it was analytics. So she was doing fantastic job there. This time it's an AI and dev tool company, so it's also like very much aligned. I think the way we approach that is actually a little bit different. So we started with the team, and we thought, well, like, here is our team, here is what our strongest skills are, and what can we build with these skills. And then on top of this, there was a layer of just personal motivations, internal motivations, and then like some interests in life. Is like, for us, it's like international aspect, like multilinguality this time. So and then we had several ideas, and then there was this hackathon, and we came up with this idea for open source tool for localization. But I would say that starting with the team it works. So I'm not saying it's like the way to start a startup, the way to choose a co-founder, but I can definitely say that it does work, and it does work. It did work pretty well for us. So we started with the team, and idea came later.
Do you think that hackathon, with working with that team, sort of validated that you guys work well together? Do you think that helped?
We built Notion Analytics with, oh, you mean like Notion Analytics? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, 100%, 100%. Actually, if there is such an option, I would definitely recommend doing hackathons with folks who you see as your potential co-founders. Yeah, it helps a lot.
You're just validating your co-founder. You're just making sure the product works.
Exactly. You start with no idea, and you have this time pressure, and yeah, it's like it shows who is who. So yeah,
that's awesome. So with these two sort of big ideas and these big projects, what have been some of your more so entrepreneurial focused, what have some of your biggest challenges been with like the entrepreneurial side? Not necessarily like the actual development, but just like the overall. What are some of your biggest challenges?
Oh yeah, it's I think it's mostly focus at this time. So it's very important to to keep focused on your vision, on what you want the product to become at some point in the future, and it's very easy to get distracted. It's very easy, especially nowadays when the barrier to start a new project is so low, especially with vibe coding tools. It's so important to keep being focused on just one thing, and I think those who are able to do that, they will win. So yeah, it's incredibly hard. It's incredibly hard, but also there is an art part to it, because you cannot allow yourself to be focused on the same thing if it's a wrong thing to be focused on. So it's like, this is based on vibes, but I think it becomes increasingly more important to be able
we need a word for vibe instead of vibe coding, like vibe running your business, like
yeah
vibe management. Just
I mean,
Yeah,
just
exactly.
pretend word vibe to anything, right? Vibe management, vibe business, easy peasy.
Yeah.
not everything.
Not everything. All right. Anyway, so I think you're absolutely correct in prioritizing being focused on your vision, being specializing on one particular thing and getting it the best way possible gets you apart from the competition. Focusing on very minor use cases and then digging the moat until nobody can compete with you, and then expanding into other areas of the market seems to be the strategy for winning. Um, can you tell me a little bit about what it looks like for you to focus on what you're doing? What are your priorities right now? What are you guys working on?
Yeah, for sure. So with Lingo.dev, the end goal and the purpose of the product and the company is to make localization, software localization, a one-click process. So it's invisible for developers who develop the product, because oftentimes we still see it, and it becomes increasingly important because you can ship the new feature very fast with Cursor, with vibe coding tools, right? But then if you don't have translations, it's like it blocks the team. And of course, if it's a side project, it's very easy to copy paste, like from ChatGPT. But then when it's time to make it production ready, then you start questioning yourself, like does it just look translated, or it actually makes sense? The good part is that AI models are getting increasingly better with time, with translations. When we got started back in 2023, I think the latest model was either 3.5 from OpenAI, or 4, something like that. I don't remember. But it was not very good. So we had to to do a lot of stuff to make it work. Right now, it's becoming easier and easier. However, the tooling it doesn't exist. The tooling for this new environment, for this new world where high quality translations can be done with AI, doesn't yet exist. So we are building basically tools for that. And the first tool that we have for that is open source CLI that monitors the project and commits back the missing translations in all the languages that the team wants to support. So
That's awesome. You mentioned that language models are improving quite a bit right now, and everybody's on top of that. Everybody's on top of that hype cycle, and even though there's a lot of hype, we also shouldn't undermine like how insanely impactful this technology is. So you have to stay informed, otherwise you're going to be left behind, in my opinion. How are you staying on top of all the latest news and developments in natural language processing advancements?
yeah, it's mostly Twitter, and now with Perplexity Deep Research, it's just crazy how good that tool is. So my co-founder, she is like in charge. She's the person for AI, applied AI research. So I'm just uh, yeah trying to understand like high level what's going on, but she's leading that part, and deep research, and overall like being subscribed to all possible newsletters, like official, I mean, newsletters from Anthropic, like blog posts and all those other resources, it helps quite a bit. And also, I mean, a lot of experimentation. Yeah, we have quite a few benchmarks internally to like monitor which model is best for which use cases. So yeah, it's sometimes it's insanely boring, but for some weird reason, we are super excited about this particular niche, this particular aspect of software development, and like how, and localization. So yeah,
Do you
feels like coming home.
Right. Do you, when these new language models, which literally it feels like every day now that
Yeah,
like
right.
some new foundational model, like I used to watch, I don't know if you know the YouTube channel, but AI Explained, and he used to drop like a video like every other week with like the AI news. Now he literally like uploads like every 2 days, and he's always like 3 new foundational models just got released, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even like. It's like so
Right.
much stuff gets dropped. And with that, do you find yourself like seeing that and then working on like a little side project or something like that to implement and validate the idea before you like bring it back over to Lingo? Or do you like directly build it right on Lingo? Like for new stuff?
Oh yeah, we sometimes have some smaller internal projects to experiment with stuff. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We first test it before we release it. But yeah, it indeed is true. It's like Meta released Llama 4 on Saturday, right? So it's crazy. And then I remember I was looking through the comments, and somebody asked or mentioned Grok, with Q, and they asked when the model becomes available on Grok, and somebody replied that it's already available. So this is crazy. So yeah, this is wild.
Yeah, everything just gets like picked up quickly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with all of the, because you cover a lot of stuff, because you're not just on AI, you're not just on localization, you're not just on dev tools, you're on all of them. So how do you see like those industries kind of merging, basically like AI, dev tools, localization? How do you see it all coming together?
I don't think anybody knows yet. To be honest, yeah, I think there are a couple of things that I feel like that are new trends in terms of dev tools and merging like developer jobs with non-developer jobs using those vibe coding tools. I think the the uh, the chat apps like Claude or Perplexity or ChatGPT, I have a feeling those are becoming the new browsers, especially with MCP. So that's one of the things. And in terms of localization, I think language barriers is they are getting eliminated from the internet, and we are super excited to participate in that. There are quite a few companies who do localization at scale. For example, Reddit. I'm not sure if you we were talking about Reddit. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but Reddit actually started localizing their entire Reddit. So not user interface, which is an obvious low-hanging fruit, but the content. So you can go to like any, I'm not sure if any, but like some subreddits, some posts, you can append something to the URL, the language code, and you will see instantly that content in another language. And it's not real-time translation, so it's stored on Reddit like backends. So it's like it's there for SEO also. So
Interesting.
this is crazy.
Wow, I didn't know they did that. That's super cool.
Yeah, and given the amount of content Reddit has, this is absolutely insane. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So when someone's getting into these sort of fields, what do you think that, like, we'll say more specifically, because I know localization is a little bit more difficult for like AI and dev tools. What do you think, if someone wants to get into that field, what do you think that they should focus on mainly when they're trying to get up into like the AI and dev tools field?
Yeah, I think it's well, I can say what we are focusing on. We are focusing on developer experience, user experience, and basically to make it as seamless as possible, as easy as possible for developers to do localization. Because nobody, let's be honest, nobody wants to like do that. It's like often an afterthought, And nobody, wakes up with the thought, oh, I'm going to do some localization today, right? So nobody thinks like that. And that's why it's important to reduce the friction as much as possible. And also the obvious second component that we at least focusing on is the quality. So we are lucky that models are improved every day. However, you also need to pack the request with a lot of contextual data. So we are focusing on that a lot. So these two things. It's always about user experience and the quality of the product. So I would say it's these two things.
Awesome. What are your thoughts on all the new products and companies popping up and them being essentially LLM wrappers nowadays? That's a concern that is very often, is amplified a lot on social media. Like, oh God, great, another ChatGPT wrapper. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, good stuff. I mean, even OpenAI is a wrapper for NVIDIA, right? But in some sense, I think it makes sense. Not all of the. I think the companies that survive, they just ship many more features, and nobody calls them ChatGPT wrappers anymore. But I think it's a natural first step for most companies to just hack something quickly, connect to OpenAI Anthropic's API, show it to users, get some initial momentum, and then start building on top of that. So I think it's quite normal. What is not normal is when a product remains to be like a very thin ChatGPT wrapper. I think that is not normal, but it's quite normal to start as a ChatGPT wrapper. So it's just the reality nowadays.
I think expanding on that too is it's how you use the AI and how you use the ChatGPT wrapper sort. Because if you just literally a thin wrapper that goes above them and there's no native integration, there's no contextual awareness or anything like that, it just kind of flops and you're not going to get anything. But if it's deeply integrated and the AI is used where it's smart to use it, that's where I think apps have really taken off. Like if we look at like Cursor, on face value, that is a ChatGPT wrapper. Like that is literally the definition of it. It is piping the outputs from your messages straight to OpenAI or Anthropic, but it does it in a way that it feels deeply integrated. Like with their new agent stuff, it feels so smooth when I'm not using Claude 3.7 and it doesn't want to generate a new README file for like a 2-line bug fix.
Yeah, actually, I mean, if you remember how V0 started, I think the very first, the V0 of V0, I think it was just React components, like AI-generated React components or something like that. Like you could one-shot a beautiful React component and look at V0 now, right? It's crazy. It's insane.
It's fully integrated.
Exactly.
It's got all the backend connections. Yeah. It's got like Neon. It's got Supabase. It's got Redis. It's got one-click deployments. Like I was pushing something out earlier today, and I was like, okay, let me publish this. Now you don't even have to add it to a project. You just click and it deploys within 20 seconds, and then boom, it's out there. And that integration just makes it easy.
And users now feel this is normal, like this is given, but it wasn't that obvious that this would even be possible, I think, like a couple of years ago. Back in the days when we got started with Lingo.dev, as I mentioned, it was like a ChatGPT wrapper at that hackathon. And back then, it's wild to think that this is true nowadays, but back then it wasn't very obvious that you can create like translations with AI even. So it's like it's very obvious today, right? But it wasn't that obvious like even a couple of years ago. So because everybody was, if you remember, everybody was impressed how ChatGPT could generate poems. That was the state of art back then when we got started. And but nowadays, if we launched something that would sound like, oh, actually you can just like prompt AI to translate it, it wouldn't be that impressive. So it's very important to iterate. Maybe it's just GPT wrapper at the beginning, but it absolutely
in
not
the
like
early
that. Yeah.
in the early days too, I definitely remember like the it can be used for translations, and it was spitting out. Well, I mean, people were asking to generate to like these very complex, probably not in training data language, like some languages and stuff like that. And but now it's not that bad. It's pretty good, especially with the larger and larger not code bases, the training data sets
Yeah.
that they're using. They're pulling from everywhere, all locales and everything. So yeah, it's very cool, very cool, cool to see the innovation with all that.
Yeah. One thing we briefly touched on is the emergence of the concept of vibe coding and how a lot of non-technical people essentially entered the software development arena. I've recently heard a horror story from some very technical company. I'm not going to name any names. Getting swarmed with technical support tickets due to vibe coders emergence, and they don't even know, what terminal is and what they're doing, etc. What are your thoughts on vibe coders becoming a thing?
Yeah, I think it's in general it's good. Like I think it's just natural progression of the profession and not of the software developer profession, but like other professions to become a little bit more tech savvy and a little bit more, ready to to build something on their own. I think it's absolutely amazing that this is even possible. Uh, Security is a big concern, so I'm really curious. I'm not a security expert, but I'm really curious to see how this all evolves and how this will be solved. This problem will be solved like long term. Because you remember the guy who vibe coded some app on Twitter and then he got hacked, and it was like all in the news. So yeah, I'm afraid we'll see many more cases like that. And yeah, I mean,
Do you think
yeah.
that do you think one of two things? Do you think that new services and stuff like that will be generated to fix the security issues, or if those will be completely obsolete and just the language models themselves will be fine-tuned for the security, like to build apps and vibe code stuff with more security in them? What do you think?
Yeah, great question. By far, language models themselves, yeah, I think need to be trained on correct, safe code. But I think, yeah, I think there should be dedicated tools to monitor code bases. I think it's actually a broader problem. It's not only about security, but in general about maintenance. So, all right, so we were like, we are generating so much code. Maybe we'll generate, 10 times more code in the following year than, we have generated in general over the past 100 years, right?
Right.
Who's going to be maintaining all that? So I think that's even a bigger problem, and security is just a subset in there, but maintenance is huge. So yeah, best of luck to everyone who's building a startup in security space or code maintenance space. So I think this is huge. We are in some sense helping with maintenance as well, because we make developers not think about localization. So we maintain this localization layer, infrastructural layer for them. And for security, I think it's also a huge part. So I'm bullish on that.
Awesome. Do you think there's a market for a new offering that would address the security, assuring security in applications that are vibe coded?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Maybe those apps already exist, but yeah, I think it's huge. I think it's huge, honestly. Yeah, I actually, yeah, I mean, I have some friends who are doing a pretty cool startup that does. It's called Gecko Security. They help, finding security issues. They can do penetration testing, and when we had to do that for one of the users, to be ready, to be compliant and all that stuff, yeah, they were able to do the entire thing in couple of days. So it's crazy. I think the future is bright for these companies. Yeah.
Awesome. Um, going back to Lingo.dev and how the company operates, how do you? I know you are used to writing code. You started pretty early. I understand this is your comfortable sort of thing to do. How do you balance the technical demands of your role with the strategy and business and etc. Implications of being a founder?
Yeah. Good point. Good question. So I think it's not hard if you can switch. Um, if you have this luxury of not having to switch very often between the two modes. For example, at least one day is for coding, another day for non-coding work. Then it already is, uh, already works great. It's quite problematic to switch between two modes within the same day. So I find it's very exhausting. But if it's at least 2 separate days, then it's absolutely fine for me. So yeah, I enjoy both aspects of my job. Yeah, it's just very hard, mentally hard to switch between them like very often. That's the challenge. But yeah, it's working pretty well. I'm showing demos to customers. I do the sales part myself. Veronica can do it as well. If I cannot do it, she can. So we are very multifunctional in our team, and yeah, but it's important to keep focused and not to not switch context very often.
So then expanding on that one layer, because that's the switching within the work life, how do you then balance work, and then personal? How do you have a life balance?
Yeah. So no. Yeah, that's the answer. So I do not. So yeah, probably it's not the best like longer term solution, but yeah, that's the reality. I think I think when you work on the thing that you would work on even like for free, and for us it's AI, dev tools, open source, then it's kind of, you have this privilege of working like 18 hours a day, 16 hours a day without burning out, because it just feels natural. It feels like you're playing, like if playing a game. So it's very natural. So we work quite a lot. Yeah, absolutely zero work-life balance. So I'm sorry, I probably have disappointed some folks. I know there are like different opinions on that. I guess it just depends on the choice. I really believe it's the choice. So you can choose it to be to be different. So.
Do you think if you had the opportunity to go back to your younger self and sort of slap him in the face and say, "Hey, start getting some work-life balance in there"? Do you think you would do that? And what else would you say to him, your younger self? Like, let's say, what are you, 29? Like when you're 19, 10 years ago, if you could open a portal, what would you say?
Oh yeah. So I think in terms of work-life balance, I think I wouldn't change anything. I would tell myself to maybe believe more in like my future self. So without like thinking that something is intimidating and I'm not gonna do that. So I would convince myself to believe in myself, in my future self more, because even now sometimes I think that something is a little bit scary, a little bit intimidating, feels like a lot of work, maybe it's not worth it. But then I just think to myself, well, it's my current self thinking this way. Maybe my future self will be more, will be stronger, and for my future self this particular task would be like super easy. So why wouldn't I commit maybe to that thing that's going to happen? Maybe it won't even happen, but what if I commit to that thing that will happen in 6 months today and see what happens? So yeah, I would recommend doing my past self. I would recommend doing that exercise more.
See, that's the wrong answer. You know what the right answer is? Buy NVIDIA stock. That's nobody's gotten that yet. I've brought this up like three,
Bitcoin.
yeah, Bitcoin too. Yeah, I brought this up like 3 episodes. It's the answer is buy Nvidia stock, invest in Bitcoin, buy a
You know
house.
what? You know what? Maybe not even Nvidia or Bitcoin. Do you remember Luna, Terra, and Luna? Yeah, that could be huge. Yeah,
Oh boy,
I think I still hold some. So
really?
Nice. Good for you.
yeah, it was zero. It was zero, guys. Yeah.
Anywho, going back to Lingo, I understand you guys raised seed round a few months ago, and congratulations on that, by the way. Uh, what are your key goals for short term, midterm? What are you working towards next?
Surprisingly, still the same. Working on the dev tools, eliminating friction from localization. That's it. We are hiring, backend engineers and front end engineers, very cracked front end engineers. So
Vibe coders or not?
could be vibe coders. It depends on the skill, on the experience, on the skill, on the motivation. So yeah, let me know. If the person is a vibe coder, but he's or she is into dev tools and AI and open source, I think it's great. That's
Just
it,
keeping
guys.
on the straight and narrow, basically.
Exactly. The previous product we bootstrapped with my co-founder without any funding. So we were 2 people full time working crazy hours. Well, as always,
Right.
and we know how to do more with less. This time it's kind of similar because we still know how to do more with less, but now we have a little bit, of a support. So
That's
but
funny.
the strategy is still the same. We just want to build a good dev tool that people like to use, and so
Awesome.
So with the we're almost out of time, but I jumped ahead. Go ahead, Goose. I misread my cursor.
Oh yeah, no worries. I just wanted to say that it's a good idea to stick to your current trajectory, making whatever you have be even better. Um, I am curious, however, you've reiterated quite a few times the theme of working hard, and not having so much free time on your hands. How do you keep your sanity, and what does your day look like, day to day?
so it's gym and hiking. So if I have any hobby, it's probably hiking. Right now I'm in San Francisco, so yeah, there's quite a few places where we can go. Before moving to SF, before YC, I lived in Barcelona, and there's quite a few places where we could go for hiking as well. So I think it's very important to touch grass, basically. So going to the gym. Sauna, for me, sauna works great. Not that many places in SF, or maybe I just didn't do much of research yet, but sauna works great. Cold plunge, after sauna, like that stuff. Yeah, that's my thing. um, yeah that's pretty much, it's super important to be able to switch, but yeah,
Absolutely.
work-life balance is still absent, guys. Yeah,
I mean,
that's the life.
you have to comply with your body being just a bag of meat and blood, and if you don't
Yeah,
exercise, if you don't touch
yeah.
grass, you'll just deteriorate in the quality of
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it's exciting because at the end of the day, it's a choice. So I think I know quite a few entrepreneurs who have their business, it's running, and they are spending like 3-4 hours a day, and the rest is their like personal life, and they're doing fine. The business is growing. They are also like bootstrapping. Most of them are bootstrapping their companies, and it's working out great for them. And we could have chosen that road as well, and I think that road is also pretty good. But it's there are other roads as well, and we are doing like that other road. It's just a matter of choice. For us, I think it's very intentional. as Veronica was saying the other day, it's about to, it's about of like to find out how far you can push yourself, like how good the user experience could be in your product, how so how big of a impact you could make. So this time it's this game.
Yeah, I agree. So, like I always keep thinking about this because it feels like it mentally feels like tech is slowing down. But if we look back, it's really not, and it's exponentially getting faster and faster and faster with new developments and innovations and stuff like that. So let's say like over like 3 to 5 years, where do you think tech innovations and these sort of AI trends will be in like the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, I think the definition of what web browser is will change. I think localization will become a like default thing, and every web app, mobile app especially also, and especially blog, will be multilingual from day one. Also, I feel like there will be a new programming language. I just feel like all the programming languages that we have today, they were invented like before AI, and I just feel like there should be another programming language that is like AI first. Maybe it is already English, maybe, but it feels like there is something in that direction.
Do you think there's like this, like if C right now, like C in assembler, or like Python right now, do you think that there's going to be like a mid-level natural language based programming language that then gets compiled with AI?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
I think something like that. It's, I don't know. This is super abstract in my head, but I just have this feeling that it kind of makes sense, because nobody, I think, is like have tried that yet. Maybe AI is not yet good enough for that to happen, but I feel like it's something that will happen in the future.
Right. And I think 100% there's a market for inventing a programming language that is geared towards language models. I mean, if you think about language models right now, what is one of the biggest bottlenecks for vibe coding? It's the context window being filled up with code. So
Yeah.
these languages, they're not designed with the idea of conserving tokens in your responses. That would be the first thing
Yeah.
to optimize for. The second, I mean, it probably doesn't have to be human readable, right?
Exactly. Do you remember
Yeah.
this hackathon where a guy shipped a product where two voice agents were talking to
Yeah.
each other with some like beeps and bops? Like,
was
Yeah,
that
yeah.
legit?
yeah, I think so.
It was? Okay, because I
think it
saw
was.
that and I was like, that
Yeah,
looks,
it's crazy. It was some kind of hackathon, and
that's cool
that project
though.
won that hackathon. Yeah, it's insane. It's super cool.
Interesting. That's
It's
super,
like
yeah.
Star Wars kind of vibe, no? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, because and I think this is always overlooked, because what is the purpose of an LLM? The purpose of an LLM isn't, the original purpose wasn't for a chatbot. It wasn't for an AI assistant. It was for language and knowledge and text compression. Because that's what it is. We took what? So like, for example, if we take like DeepSeek R1, right? They trained on 350 like gigabytes or terabytes of data. And how big is that model? What is it, like 7 gigs? And that could generate more than 7 gigs worth of content. I don't know if it's going to be like real content, but it can. So I think that's been the whole thing of like the compression and putting it into a different sort of container that can be used to facilitate and like be that sort of medium for like the programming or whatnot. So I think you're spot on with like that new language or that new, I don't know. So I think you're spot on though with that.
Yeah, I'm super curious to see what happens next in that direction. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I
crazy.
think 100%, my personal prediction, we're living through the last generation of programming languages intended for humans. Like what we're seeing, TypeScript, React being the mainstream tech stack for making applications. I think the next mainstream thing will be designed for language models. That's my take. Do you think that's likely to happen?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah, makes sense. Anywho, if you were to give a piece of advice to aspiring tech entrepreneurs, somebody who wants to get started with their own new venture, what would be that piece of advice you would give?
I think it's important to be focused and to ship the thing, not just to be talking about the thing, but to create stuff, to build stuff. You can just do things and then show those things to users. And then if they don't like it, you go back to the drawing board and you ship the new thing again, and you repeat the process till you find the users. And that's it. And once you found the users, you have to stick with that and keep iterating without jumping to the next shiny thing. Yeah, I think this becomes increasingly important. I would.
Do you think that the validation is what makes you be clear on the on like what you should like hunker down on, or just like the most feedback from users? Because like an app could go viral and it could get validation, but if it doesn't get a lot of feedback from users, then it might just be like a one-hit wonder. Do you think like
I think the latter is important. The latter.
Yeah.
It's like if it goes viral, of course, it's great. It's a spike. But for personal motivation, I think it's much better to have like maybe smaller amount, but recurring users who are giving recurring feedback, because it makes you to keep working on it without burning out. And I think Sam Altman said the other day that burnout happens when you do something without seeing the result of the impact of that work. And I think if you have users for whom you actually ship the features, I think it helps a lot. Just think about it. It's like somebody sent you a feature request, and then you shipped it, and then you told them that you shipped it, and they were like super grateful, and then you have another feature request, right? And now compare that to shipping in isolation without knowing whether somebody would want to use it. Maybe it will go viral, but like if you don't have any users, you will still be shipping for just yourself. So it's very important to have somebody to talk to, and you should go out as often as possible and show people your product.
Right. I agree.
And be focused.
Yeah, and be
Yeah,
focused.
focus.
You gotta lock in.
Yeah. So to reiterate, the advice essentially is keep shipping, keep iterating, keep failing until you get product market fit. Don't let anything deter you.
Yep. Yeah.
I think, where was it? Somebody sent me this the other day. Let me see if I can find it before we wrap up. It was somebody who basically their portfolio on their website was my list of failures, and I can't find it, but it was literally like, it was like a 20-page document of all of the things he tried and failed.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a little bit like, oh, yikes. But then it gives a lot of context to what has taken off and what, because I think he now runs like it's like a 2-guy shop in like a 3.6 million ARR annual recurring revenue type company. And I mean, we see a lot with like Mark and Levels and all of these big, massive creators who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. And we're like, wow, they just got famous and stuff like that. But I think what we're missing is like that failure. You don't see their failures because they find the good product, they validate that product, and then they just nail down and hunker down on that one validated product that gets customer feedback and gets customers signups. So I think that's a great thing. You want to fail. You want to ship as fast as possible so that way you can fail. It's always funny because back last year, I was working on a project called Applied Track, and I had actually reached out to Dan to say, "Hey, can you give some reviews about this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll launch it late December and stuff like that." And he's like, "No, you need to ship faster." And so I shipped faster, and it failed. But then that showed me, okay, I need to pivot on something else. Because if I had spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months on that, and then I shipped it and it failed, that would have been absolutely wasted time. And you need to get something out there to validate the product. If people like it, if people adopt it and then start coming towards you, then that's when you need to harden down. But I don't think that you should, I mean, unless you have a banger product, but
no, 100%.
You want to get market validation as soon as possible.
Yeah, for sure. And it happens at all levels, right? At feature level as well. You might be working on the feature, thinking it's what that user needs, and then you show it to them, and they're like, no, actually, I didn't mean that exactly. So yeah, you gotta be shipping often and showing it to other people much more often. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's all I've got for today. It was an absolute pleasure having you on here, Max. I've learned so much, and it was great to hear about your journey and your insight. So thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks,
guys. Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining in to NextDev. My name is Ryan. I'm joined by my co-host here,
Dan Guzman.
and we will see you next time.